My name is Bill Bellissimo, and I'm the founder and CEO of CrunchTime Information Systems. My family was in the restaurant business. From the time I was 10 years old, I was working in restaurants, cleaning grease traps, washing dishes, working in the family business. It was really clear to me back then that systems were available to operate restaurants were designed by people who had never spent a day in their life in a restaurant. There was no efficient way of getting the information that was being captured at the restaurant back to head office so that it was actionable. And then the problem was, once the information got there, it took a week to process it. You go back to the restaurant and say, well, what happened last Tuesday? They're just trying to keep their heads above water today. What happened last Tuesday is a distant blur. Just like food, information has to be fresh, and that was really, really frustrating. I founded CrunchTime to really solve the problem that I had when I was running my own restaurants. CrunchTime is essentially an ERP system that was designed for restaurants to help them optimize product utilization, to optimize schedules, to optimize the supply chain, to optimize the spread of information throughout the organization. And the challenge with building an ERP system for restaurants, unlike most other industries, the system is being utilized by people who weren't hired for their computer skills. We started almost 20 years ago. There was no plan on how you build a SaaS company. In fact, it wasn't called SaaS. In fact, there wasn't no such thing as a cloud back then. We just created a platform and we were deploying our software through the internet. I put my pitch together and I went out to all the really smart people in venture capital. They looked at me like I had two heads and they said, look, kid, let me save you some time. No one's going to put their mission critical information on the internet. I guess my claim to fame is I'm probably the only company in America that was an internet company that didn't get funded during the boom. So I basically set out to build it myself. We learned really early in the game that we weren't going to build custom anything for anybody, and that you have to be agile. So we were constantly updating, improving, and enhancing our solution based on the feedback that we were getting from the marketplace. The philosophy was, run the complexity, not avoid complexity. And if you can solve the complex, you can solve the easy. Companies like Cheesecake Factory, you walk into their restaurants and they have an encyclopedia, and that's their menu. You walk into a Five Guys, they get 5 items on their menu, and they use CrunchTime too. 80% of our customers have seen between a 2 and 5% reduction in cost once they've implemented CrunchTime. The savings that we generate come in from all over the place. You know, whether it's labor, whether it's supply chain, whether it's cost of goods, whether it's accelerating the flow of information so people are reacting to having one version of the truth across the entire enterprise. These are problems that plague me as an operator and, plague everybody. And I went to Battery and said, so what's your plan? And they said, our plan is your plan. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, you've built this business, you know what you're doing. What we're buying is the asset that you've built. We're not going to come in here and disrupt the world. And I got to say that we've had some really colorful board meetings. When they have opinions, they express them, but it's very respectful, and they've really changed CrunchTime. They've stuck to what they said. They're helping us take it to the next level. What's really interesting about the story is that it took us 18 years to go from 0 to 5,000 locations. It's taken us 3 years to go from 5,000 to 30,000. The growth has been viral. As more and more people adopt us, more and more people want us. There are over 1 million restaurants in the United States, operated by about 2,500 different companies. We have 150 companies operating the restaurants that we're talking about. So we have a very small market share. Our expectation is that we want to be able to grow at between 30 and 40% for the next 5 years. I'm not in this to be a regional player. I want to be the world leader. My plan by the end of 2020 is to have a $100 million run rate. I can see the path, I can see the customers. We've got the right plan and the right people, the right process, and the right relationships to make that happen.